Hello and welcome to Valuechain News. I am Naomi Oleribe. First, the headlines. Nigeria's oil rig count drops by 38%. Libya loses 280,000 barrels per day of its daily oil production. Petron assures availability of petroleum products this Yuletide. Now the news in details. Nigeria's oil rig count has decreased by 38% to 80 in the first 11 months of 2021 from 129 recorded in the corresponding period of 2020. This is according to the latest report from the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries (OPEC) obtained by Reports Nigeria. Oil rig count is a global index for measuring activities in the upstream sector. OPEC data showed that under the period in review, activities appeared on the low ebb in April, just 5 rigs in operation, but it quickly rose to 11 in August and September before dropping consistently to 7 in November 2021. The organization did not provide reasons for this sliding trend, but it understood that it's connected to limited investment still haunting the industry. Comparatively, some African nations, especially Algeria and Libya, did well at 247 and 140 rigs respectively during the period. This indicates that unlike Nigeria, they would likely build additional oil reserves capable of leading to increased production capacity in the coming year. The Petroleum Products Retail Outlet Owners Association of Nigeria, Petron, has assured the availability of petroleum products during the Christmas and New Year celebration. In the assurance in Port Harcourt, Chairman of Petron in Rivers State, Comrade Francis Chile Dinka, said measures were in place to ensure availability and even distribution of petroleum products in outlets across the state during this Yuletide season. Dinka, however, said there might be a slight increase in the cost of the products as dealers were already experiencing increased depot prices. Our major assignment is to ensure availability and effective distribution of petroleum products, and we are resolute in doing that, he said. The Minister of State for Environment, Mrs. Sharon Ikazo, has called on the House of Representatives Committee on Host Communities to help in addressing the activities of artisanal refining and repollution in Ogoni land. Ikazo, during an interactive session with members of the Reps Committee, said the Ogoni cleanup project was a priority project for the President, assuring that she will do all that is required to ensure that the people of Ogoni get the full benefit from the project. The minister, who recently had an interface with Ogoni stakeholders on their expectations and concerns about the project, said polluted areas hitherto not covered in the UNEP report will be attended to in order to ensure very impacted sites in Ogoni land was remediated. The long-awaited water for the people of Ogoni has been addressed as 6 contractors are currently working to provide potable water in Ogoni land, with additional 12 water contractors will soon be engaged, she said. The Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited (NNPC) wishes to draw the attention of the general public to a fake competition trending online which claims to celebrate a so-called anniversary event. In the purported contest, unsuspecting participants are encouraged to carry out a survey by filling out a questionnaire on their knowledge of the company, with the eventual winner standing the chance of winning some cash reward of up to $8,000. The NNPC has nothing to do with the purported anniversary event contest and is advising the members of the public to decline any participation in the survey as it is a scam. In the same vein, NNPC would also like to once again inform the public that the information circulating the social media that NNPC is conducting a recruitment exercise is not true, and the public should disregard it in its entirety. The NNPC hereby reiterates that whenever it decides to conduct a recruitment exercise or send out information to the public, it will do so through authentic public communication channels, particularly the NNPC's website, www.nnpcgroup.com. Reports from an official source stated that the general production in Libya lost 280,000 barrels per day after a closure carried by gunmen affiliated with the Petroleum Facilities Guard in the western region of Hamanda, linking between the El Sharara A9 field operated by the Akakos oil operations and the port of Zaiwa late on Sunday night. The Petroleum Facilities Guard demanded that Ahmed Amar continue to head the Akakos company operating the field, expressing their rejection in the decision of the chairman of the board of directors of the National Corporation, Mustafa San Aila, to restructure the management of Akakos. The source added that the general production in Libya fell to levels 950,000 barrels per day due to the new closure, while it was more than 1.2 barrels per day. Iran's oil minister said that output at many oil wells has fallen from 50,000 barrels per day to 1,000 barrels per day, and local expertise should help to restore production. He was speaking at an event that is dedicated to research at the oil minister's. OG urged Iranian young scientists to help the oil industry and raise production to much higher capacity, which he insisted is possible for the country. He said only 30% of oil reserves are currently accessible, and 700 oil wells can benefit from infusion of technology to revive production. Throughout years of American and international sanctions on finance and transfer technologies, Iran's oil and gas industry is in a bad need for fusion of investments and assistance of large oil companies with the necessary know-how to maintain production. The minister said that Iran needs $160 billion of investments to avoid becoming a net importer of oil and gas in the future. He said natural gas consumption is rising at 10 to 12% annually in Iran, while production cannot keep up. Natural pressure is falling at many extraction sites, and Iran needs superior technology to prevent fall in gas production. The Lagos State government on Monday signed the necessary documents required by the Security and Exchange Commission (SEC) to facilitate the issuance of 137.328 billion bond aimed at executing key infrastructure in critical sector of the economy in the state. This follows the meeting of all statutory instruments that will facilitate the raising of the 13% fixed rate bond by the Lagos State government from the capital markets. Speaking at the occasion, the Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu, who presided over the signing ceremony where the necessary documents were signed by the Lagos State Attorney General, issuing parties and trustees of the funds, said that the state set out to raise 125 billion naira from the capital market but closed the bids at 137.3 billion naira following oversubscription. The governor said the development is a demonstration of a strong response from the investing community and testified to confidence of investors in the state's ability to deliver on its infrastructural and socio-economic developmental objectives while meeting repayment obligations. Before we end the news, here's a recap of our headlines. Nigeria's oil rig count drops by 38%. Libya loses 280,000 barrels per day of its daily oil production. Petron assures availability of petroleum products this Yuletide. And that's the news. My name is Naomi Oleribe. Good afternoon.